So we want to learn simple ways to make high waist skirts. Now for this high waist skirt, how to cut high waist skirt, we are using waist measurement of 12 inches, hip measurement of 18 inches, and then hip drop 6 inches, the skirt length 15 inches. This hip drop now is the measurement from your waist to your hip. You know where your hip is. That widest point of your hip is where you place your tape to get your hip measurement. So to get your hip drop, you will measure from your waist down to your hip, that largest part of your hip that has a bone that is wider than the other parts of your hip. Okay, so that is what we call hip drop, measurement from the waist to the hip. So the inches I'm using here, the measurement I'm using here is 6 inches. So let's get started. Don't forget, these are the measurements you can use. They are just some random numbers I picked, but you can get your own measurement, use your own measurement to make this cut of a high waist skirt. So let's start. We'll use paper for the purpose of this illustration. Now this part of my paper will be my waist. This part will be my waist. Now the waist measurement is 12. So 12 inches divided by 2. Remember, all your round body measurements will always usually be divided by 2. So your waist measurement, the waist measurement here I'm using is 12 inches. 12 inches divided by 2 will give us 6 inches. So I'll do a mark here. 6 inches. This is for the waist. All right. Okay. So the next thing, we want to determine our waist from our hip drop. Let me put this. This is for waist. From here to here is for waist. So now I want to look at our hip drop from the waist to the hip. The waist to the hip, which is our hip drop, is 6 inches. So you measure from the waist down to get our hip line. 6 inches. It stops here. This is it. So I'm gonna get a line, a ruler that I'll use to draw our hip line. All right. So here is our hip line. Draw it down to where as much as try to get the line as much as I can. All right. So remember, this is our hip drop from the waist down to the hip is our hip drop. So the next measurement we want to get now is our hip measurement. Our hip measurement is 18 inches. Remember, this is our hip drop. It has been formed. So we are looking for the hip measurement, which is 18 inches. 18 inches divided by 2 will give you 9 inches. So you come down here to spot where your 9 inches is. See, it even extends the line. So I have to draw this line more to meet up that point. That will give us our 9 inches. All right, good. So this is our hip. This is our hip measurement. This spot. Don't forget. Now this waist measurement, we will stitch to make it a fitted skirt. We will stitch this place. We'll do our stitching here. Good. So on this waist part, we want to take out our darts, because the darts will give this skirt shape. it will shape you on your waist. So we are using that of let's say 1 inch, 1 inch of that. So because I'm using that of 1 inch here, I have to add the 1 inch to my waist. So let me add 1 more inch to the waist measurement. I'll add 1 inch here, because by the time we draw out our dart here, we'll use 1 inch, which is this. So we've added it now. All right. Okay. So what we do next is to get the length measurement of this skirt we are using is 15 inches. And 15 inches is almost to the end of this paper. It's almost to the end of this paper. It's just like the difference is here. So the full of this paper is 16 inches. So I'm taking the whole of this paper as my skirt measurement. All right. So the whole of this paper will be my skirt measurement because I'm doing 16. Okay. So now we want to determine where we'll take our darts from. Okay. Let me do 4 inches. 4 inches here. 4 inches here. This is where we'll take our darts. And then 4 inches here. 4 inches here. Or let me bring it this way. 4 inches down. Then we'll draw our line. This is the point of our dart. This is where our darts will be. I'm taking 4 inches dart from the down here. I did 4 inches here. All right. Then 4 inches down. Okay, to get this. Don't forget. So we'll rule our line. Remember, you can use a pattern paper for this before you finally cut on your fabric. Okay, so let's draw our line to meet up where that our 4 inches stops. Good. So on each side of this dart line we've drawn, I will take ½ inch from here and ½ inch from here. Then I will join them together. Half inch. So this will now be, if I take ½ inch from here and ½ inch from here, it will now give me this 1 inch. Remember this 1 inch that I already measured. Okay, so that it will meet up and still give us our exact waist. So let me see where my ½ inch will be. Anyway, I can place it. Yeah. So here will be, okay, this will be half inch, and this will be our ½ inch. So this is the 1 inch we took from here. So now let's draw our lines from here down to meet up. So you get your ruler. Good. So you get your ruler and rule your line to meet up this point. Okay. Then you do the same here. Ensure that you are doing it rightly. Place it on the right spot. Okay. So this is our dart. So when you are sewing it, you hold it like this. After cutting it on your fabric, you hold it like this and sew. You see, as you even do it self, it's already dragging this thing to give you shape on your waist. So this is our dart measurement. Now remember I said the skirt length we are using. Okay, so now like I said, our full length of skirt is 15 inches. So 1 inch left here. This will give us, the whole paper will give us 16 inches. So I'm just taking the whole of the measurement because the remaining 1 inch will be used to hem the skirt. All right. Are you following? Good. So the next thing now, since we already determined that here will be the length of our skirts, we want to determine what part, the width of the down part of the skirt. Since it is a high waist skirt, you know high waist skirt is usually like this, then it will curve down to give you shape at the hip point or on your hip. Okay, so now to determine this is entirely your choice. If you want the skirt very tight, you have to come down as low as possible here to meet up here. Then when you cut, you just cut like this. But if you don't want it too much, you can take this part of the measurement. Now, how to get this? The simplest way I do, since my hip measurement, the hip measurement for this class or this lesson is 18 inches, I might just decide to reduce it by the width of the down part of the skirt. I might just reduce it from the hip by, let's say, 2 inches. So 18 inches, which is the hip measurement, minus 2 inches will give us like 16 inches. Then 16 inches divided by 2. Remember, our round measurement is usually divided by 2. 16 inches divided by 2 will give us 8. Or if I want to even bring it down, I'll still minus more. But then let me use 8 inches. Let me use 8 inches. It all depends on your choice, how you want the skirt to be. Okay, so I'm using my 8 inches. This is the width of my round skirt down. So are you seeing the points have already set? So we're gonna join them to meet up. Let me try to use my hand, but you can use your ruler. If you have hip curve or French curve, you can also use it, but let me try to use my hand to do this. I'm trying to join the points. Okay, let me see. I'm doing my rough sketch, something like this. Are you seeing? So this is all about the front part. This is the front part of our high waist skirt. The front part of our high waist skirt. So this is it. I will now do a cutout round, okay, to get the front part. Then I'll come back to do the back part. Okay, so this is, we are done with the front part. See how beautiful and curvy it is. See how beautiful and curvy it is. See how beautiful and curvy it is. This is our front part high waist skirt. Okay, so we'll come to get another paper to draw the back. This time you don't even need to do the measurement again. All you do is just to create space for your zip, because we are putting zip at the back of this skirt. The back of this skirt will have zip. Remember, this is for the back now. Okay, we are done with the front. So just place what you have already done and do a cut out. Just place it this way, and let's say we'll give allowance for our zip. See where our zip allowance will be? Here, this place. Okay, so we want to cut out our front pattern. We've cut out our front pattern actually. We want to cut out the back pattern. Now this is our front pattern. This is our front pattern. So this front pattern, see what I did here. At the waist line, on the waistline here, I measured 3 inches from the base, from here, 3 inches. Then I came down by 1 inch, connected the point, and then did this cutout. The essence of doing this cutout is because the front of our body is usually a bit curved. Okay, so we really want a fitted skirt, so we have to follow the body curves. It's a bit curved, so that's why you see this cutout so good. So what I will do next is to get our pattern for the back, our back pattern. Now, if you are using a stretchy fabric to do your high waist skirt, you don't need a zipper. You are okay with this front pattern we've just done. You are just okay. What you do, fold your material or your fabric into four, okay, into 4. Do a cutout and just sew, and your high waist skirt is done. Just sew by the side, sew all. Okay, your high waist skirt is done. Insert your dart. When you are cutting, insert your dart. Do a mark here and a mark here on the fabric, so that you know where your darts are. Okay, this is just all for your stretchy fabric. But now I'm using this fabric, and this fabric is not stretchy, so I'll need to cut the front part and the back part separately. So that's why you see I'm drafting the front part separately from the back part, because I need to put a zipper, and the zipper I want to put is at the back of our skirt. So I get a new pattern paper. Okay, I'm just using this paper just for the purpose of this illustration. You can also use it if this is what you have at home. Okay, fine. So what you do, place your front pattern on top of the back pattern like so. Place it at the point where this zipper allowance here, create 2 inches first. At this point of your zipper allowance, create 2 inches first. See our line, this is where our 2 inches is. I've already drawn my mark there, on my line there. So you place your front pattern on that spot. Okay, now remember, it's a very fitted skirt, so even the back side of your skirt has to be fitted. And to prevent a bulge on your zipper at the upside of your back, to prevent that bulge you usually see on a skirt that is not well cut out and well sewn, to prevent that bulge, we have to use a lesser inch here down to the hip line. Then at this hip point, since the hip is usually wider than other parts of the body, our down body measurement, the hip line will use a separate inch for it. Now see what I did. Okay, so this is our pattern. Now from the waist down to the hip, I used 1 inch. I'm cutting out zipper allowance of just 1 inch. To get my 1 inch, see what I did. My 1 inch, and this was the mark. So I marked it down to the waistline here. You can see it. I've already drawn my mark. Then on the hip line, which is this, I'm using 1.5 inch. See it, I've even written it here, 1.5 inches, because the hip is larger than the other parts of our down body measurement. So I marked where my 1.5 inch stops, which is here. See it? I drew my line here. Then from this hip allowance, I came down by 5 inches. Okay, which was here, or which is here. I've also drawn my mark. You can see it here. So this means from the waistline down to the hip, you are measuring 1 inch. You put a mark down to the from the waistline, 1 inch. Then here we start with this 1 inch will be like 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch down to the hip. Then this hip side 1.5 inch. Then the remaining part after this 5 inches, where this hip line to here 5 inches stopped, you will now go back to 1 inch. So this is what I did here. Draw your marks on each of them. Now to make it a very nice curve, I have to carefully join them. I did a rough sketch from here to join the point. If you see that the body at the back side is usually curved this way as well. Okay, down to the down part. Okay, to the down part. See it? I've already drawn my line. So let me cut it out. No, but before I cut it out, let me also draw a mark. I'll still place it. Please use your pin. That's why mine keeps coming out, but I didn't use pin. You know, I'm just doing this for illustration. Use your pin to pin these two patterns together, so it will not keep moving. It makes your work easier and faster. So now at this point, I have to draw out where the shape of this front pattern is. So I'll know what I'll cut away from this. And this is what I got. Okay. This has to be a curvy and not pointed straight line. Alright. So let's do our cutout now. We'll start from the back side. All the places I've stretched out. And we'll also cut this side away. Cut the side that we've also drawn our mark. Cut it away. Good. So this is our back pattern. Are you seeing? It follows the curve of our back body. This will be the midpoint, the middle point of our skirt. This point will be the middle point of our skirt where we put our allowance. Ensure that you put these inches you've already marked out. In fact, it's even already drawn. So as you are sewing, bear in mind that you are inserting those inches on your zipper. Okay, so now let's show how to cut this out on a fabric. Like the fabric is like this now. Double it. Now it is into two. Double it like this. Bring your front part. Bring your front part first. Bring your front part first. After doubling, you see I doubled it. You can see here it's doubled. Are you seeing it? Bring your front part on this spot. Pin your pattern on the fabric. Pin it so it will stay in place and it will be straight. After you are done pinning it, all right, the next thing you do, take your check. Initially I said 5 inches sewing allowance. It's not 5 inch, but here will be bulky. That was a mistake. What I meant to say is ½ inch. They are using ½ inch sewing allowance. So get your tape. Then since I did not put the allowance on this pattern, you have to do it on the fabric. So you get your tape, measure your ½ inch, put a check. Don't use pen or marker because it's the fabric. At least this tailor's check will clean off. So use the tailor's check, mark here, come down here again, ½ inch, mark till you go round to this last point. Then you cut out everything, and after that you are done with your skirt, especially if you don't need a band. Now if you need a band for your skirt pattern, what you do on the waistline, on your waistline, come to measure out your waist measurement. See for here, the waist measurement here is 6 inches for only one side. Okay, so let's say 6 inches. Since this is just half, just one out of the 4, two from the front, 2 from the back. Remember, as you fold it like this double, it is already 2. So when you open it, it will not be a full complete skirt. So what you do, measure out your waist measurement. This is 6 inches by 4. Okay, 6 inches by 4. Then you carve it. If it is 1 inch band you want, all right, just draw your 1 inch band like so. Put your check. Then measure the length of band you want. Okay, as long as how you want it. Put a mark or your check on it. Then you cut out. Double it again like that so that it will be stronger. And then when you are done, you come and sew it on the waistline. All right. So that is all about this tutorial, sewing of high waist skirt, or cutting high waist skirt, rather a fitted high waist skirt that has darts. Remember this dart, attach it as if you are measuring on your fabric. Use your check as well to show the spot where your dart is. Okay, then when you remove your pattern, come down, do exactly the same thing we did here on this spot. Okay, and then when you sew, you drag it like this. That's at the wrong part, and sew. You see that you have a fitted skirt. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, like, and then you are free to ask questions, comment anyhow you want. Any question, any part you don't understand, you can ask me. So this is our back pattern, and this is our front pattern for our high waist skirt. Thank you for watching.